Hey guys, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Short and sweet, to the point, what are we doing today? We are going to be reviewing the Natasha Denona Bronze palette. You can see my ring light. And yes, this is the plastic version of her palettes that she has in several of her other palettes, like the Sunset palette, which I also own. It gets grubby really fast. I'm trying not to like blind you with the light. Here it is for you to see. I will show you swatches here in a second, but this is it. You've got mostly bronze, obviously, shades. You have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mattes. Some of them are creamy, some of them are powder. I think the black may be her only cream to powder formula. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shimmers, which is more than the Biba palette that I will show you in just a second. She said on her Instagram that she has yellow tones, then orange, and then red tones of bronze, and it really does run the gamut. She also has one duochrome peachy shade, which I do have on my lids that you will see here in a second. So what I'm going to do in this video is you're going to see me swatch this palette for you, and I'm going to compare it to several other palettes that I have where I felt like the color story I've got several times over. So you can see the bronze palette that I just showed you. I'm going to also compare it today to the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. So here is this in the pan. The by Terry Paris by Light palette, and I'm going to do this upside down so I don't flash you. And her big palette, the Biba palette as well. So all four of these have similar tones and color stories to them, but you're going to see them swatched out next to each other on the same arm, with this as like the control, if you will. So if you have one of these other palettes, you're going to be able to see how well they compare. And then I'm going to do an eye look for you using this palette and then give you my final thoughts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So here we have the bronze palette swatched just by itself, if you can see that. And next I'm going to swatch the Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette underneath. So I tried to do my best, as you can see. Again, bronze, Natasha Denona bronze is on the top. The Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam, oh, you can see that, is on the bottom. And I tried to make sure that I got as many similar colors as I could together. The Natasha Denona palette has 15 shades, while the Anastasia Beverly Hills only has 12. So there are a couple of things missing. I don't know if you can even see the shade Tempera on here. So from what I can tell just by swatches, the bronze palette is more orange toned, and the Anastasia palette has, I think, a more range of tones. The shades are deeper, they're more pigmented, and the shimmer shades that they have, or satin shades if you will, that has more of a yellow undertone to them than the Natasha Denona palette does. Sorry about the placement of these swatches. You know, it's how it goes. So if that bothers you, I apologize. So, all right, we're going to move on to the next palette. I will take this off on the bottom and just do the next one. Okay, so this swatch selection right here, that was hard to say, is the By Terry Paris by Light edition for her eyeshadow. Now, this one only has 12 shades, and again, the Natasha Denona has 15. These are kind of not comparable really at all. They look like they belong in the same family, but none of the shades really match up. The shimmers, there is orange bronze, but then brown bronze, and then yellow, and if you can just tell, it's way different in terms of color story and formula, and I'll talk about that in a minute as well. So there is the By Terry in comparison. So for this comparison, you know, again, I have bronze on the bronze palette on the top. This is Natasha Denona's Biba palette. I can show you that. It also has 15 shades, And there are only 3 shimmers in this palette versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the bronze. And I don't think that the shimmers in the Biba are comparable very much to the shimmers in the bronze palette. I do see several shades in her mattes that look like they're just repeating. You know, you've got a few here that just line up pretty the same. But they're not exactly the same. I do think that Prairie from Biba and Sundown from the bronze palette are almost identical. Other than that, I can't say that they are exactly the same. So before I get started, there are a few of her other products I put on my face that I wanted to let you know what I used. I received a, I guess, sample size of her Transfer Matte Liquid Foundation. Words are hard. And I used the shade 20Y Light. That's a yellow undertone. And it comes with like several different ones. So here, if you can see that. And I put that on my face. That's a pretty good match for me as far as tone is concerned. But I just don't like matte full coverage liquid foundation. That's just not my thing. Looking at this in the mirror, I wore this yesterday as well, and it rubbed off really easy. It got patchy. It sinks into my pores. It's just not for my skin. I have dry skin. And I'm older. I'm 32. So I think maybe if you were like doing a photo shoot or something that you only need to be filming, perhaps you only need to have it on for a while, it'd be fine. But if you're like me and you have dry skin, this is not going to be the foundation for you. I also used her tan palette. I got this, I want to say it was the beginning of quarantine. It was almost like right when quarantine got started, and I've used the dickens out of it. If you can see that. So I used the blush bronzer as my blush bronzer. I know that a lot of people I saw on YouTube didn't like this because they either wanted blush or bronzer. I love blush bronzer. I love a brown based blush, so this is like right up my alley. I put the glow cream base down before putting the glow impact powder on the highlight points. I don't usually use the top 2. Sometimes I will, but on most days I'm just using the bottom. This is a great highlighter. I really like it. So I think that this for July 4th weekend is also on sale on her website. I've used her website 4 or 5 times. Things are always great. I don't have problems, and they ship super fast even in a pandemic. So that's what I've got on the rest of my face. So let's get into the eye look, shall we? Here we go. It's dirty. You can see my stuff. I'm a mess. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to take my e.l.f. blending brush, and I'm gonna go into the shade Ridge right here, and we're gonna put that just transition color, I guess you could say. Let me lean forward so that you can see this. Okay, is that okay? I still film on my phone, you guys, so the lighting kind of goes in and out. And I'm not a professional. This is not going to be perfectly blended. This is just regular old me filming a video for the first time in like 2 months. So, yeah. All right, let's get that done. This is right up my alley in terms of color story. I'm not too worried about this. I know I can see a patchy spot there, but I'm gonna blend that out in just a second. We'll do the other eye. This bronze, you know, she said that on her Instagram that she did it on purpose to have it's like yellow tone bronze, orange bronze and then a red tone bronze. And I think that that's true, although I think it's an orangey palette, which orange is my favorite color eyeshadow. So I am not displeased with that. Okay, I'm gonna take, this is just one of the Anastasia Beverly Hills brushes you get in your palettes that nobody likes. I actually do use the scratchy side to blend out my eyeshadow, and what I like to do with it that I've noticed I get a better blend is blend it into my eye instead of out. Does that make sense? And I'm just like lightly touching and going in this way. Okay. So I'm gonna take that same color with the flat end and do the bottom of my lashes. So I traditionally, when I do an eye look, I only use about 3 colors. I use a transition shade, a deepening shade, and then a shimmer, and that's what I'm gonna do. So where I wanna go with this, I'm gonna take a really small blending brush here. It's really tiny. I have really small eyes, so I need smaller brushes. And I'm gonna go into Suntan. Can you see that right there? And just work that into the outer portion of my eye here in like the, I don't know what you call it, outer V, creasy thing. Just deepening that up. I'm not gonna go too far into it. Get that down a little bit on the lower. So, you know, that's good enough for me. We don't do perfection around here. I'm gonna take my NYX glitter glue, which this has lasted me like 2 years, this whole tube, and it's actually coming to a point where it's coming to an end, and I'm going to have to get a new tube of it, just a tiny little bit. I choose to put glitter glue, no matter what the quality of the shimmer is, onto my lid, because I don't have hooded eyes, I have deep set eyes. So my brow bone covers a good portion of the top of my eyelid, which causes creasing. And I did notice when I did an eye look the other day with this palette that the shimmers did crease on me. And that's not true of every Natasha Denona palette I have. They don't all do that, but I don't even remember which specific one it was that I used, but I did notice that, and I don't know if I can fault the palette for that, given the shape of my eye. So for a shimmer, this is the most favorite one that I have in the palette right here. This is Bliss. This is a duochrome, like a pinky gold. So I'm gonna put that all over my lid. I'm going to put liner mascara on off camera real quick, and I'll be right back. So I just topped my lips off with the Dominique Cosmetics lip gloss in Java from her Latte 2 collection, because I didn't have any Natasha Denona lip glosses in my collection at the moment, even though I know that she came out with some for this launch. Okay, so that's the finished look if you wanted to see. Final thoughts on this palette. I like this palette. This is something that I enjoy using in terms of let's go back. So why do I say, yes, I like this palette? One, I like Natasha Denona's formula. I don't want to blind you guys with my light. I like Natasha Denona's formula. That is my personal preference. Two, I liked this color story. As soon as I saw it on Instagram, I went and pre-ordered it because I thought it was gorgeous. Like I said before, orange is my favorite color story out of all the eyeshadows, and this kind of bronze thing that she's got going on has a lot of orange in it. So it is right up my favorited alley. Two, I liked that there were several more shimmer shades in here compared to the Biba palette, which I own. I love them both. However, when I use the Biba palettes, my shimmers are limited in terms of options. So personal preference, I would rather have less mattes and more shimmers because I always put a shimmer on my eyelid. That's just me. I don't regret this purchase, but it is kind of repetitive in my collection. as you can see, you know, I have the bronze palette now, and I'm adding to the Soft Glam, which you can see there, and the By Terry Paris by Light, which you can see here, and the Biba palette. These all are not exactly the same as you saw by the swatches, but they are so similar that I don't need them all, but I happen to have them all. So let's talk formula. Out of all 4 of these palettes, my favorite formula is going to be Natasha Denona's formula. I think with ABH, it used to be my favorite, and things have changed since then. I love the satins that she comes out with. I think that those are gorgeous. Some of her shimmers are a little too dry and crumbly for me. And the mattes are all right. Compared to Natasha's though, I like Natasha's better. And then this By Terry palette, which I had my eye on, I really like the shimmers in here. The mattes are not that great. Specifically this like cool toned brown. This is horrible. I never use it. I use it in my eyebrows, which is what I did today, and that's it. The rest of the palette is okay, but for such a luxury brand, I was disappointed. I don't know what I'm gonna do because I have Biba and I have bronze, so it's gonna take time for me to tell which one I prefer because I like them both. I know Biba has that cool toned section that you can use, but honestly, I never dip into it. So we'll see how that goes. I've had fun playing with this so far. So I'm not gonna tell you should you buy it, should I not buy it, because I think everybody's personal tastes and preferences are not the same. So I'm not gonna tell you guys what to do. Just see what I've done in this video and make that decision for yourself, if that makes any sense. So that's it for my comparison and review of the new Natasha Denona bronze palette that came out recently. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Before you guys leave, I'd love for you to stick around, see what other kinds of videos I have on my channel here for your YouTube entertainment pleasure. Be kind to yourself out there, folks, and I will catch you later.